The research vessel Eternal Dawn had been floating through deep space for 3 months. It was a ship built by aliens who stood tall and graceful, with skin that glowed softly in the dark. There were scientists and explorers. They studied new worlds and strange creatures. They believed they understood the universe. They were wrong. Commander stood on the bridge, his long fingers moving across the control panel. His luminescent skin flickered with worry. On the main screen, a broken ship drifted in the darkness. It was old and damaged. Parts of it were missing. It looked like something had torn it apart from the inside. "Where did it come from?" asked. His navigation officer checked the readings. "It drifted from the quarantine zone, Commander, from 7. The bridge went silent. Everyone knew about 7. It was a death world, a planet so dangerous that the Galactic Council had forbidden anyone from going there. The creatures on that world were nightmares made real. They were built to kill." "We should leave it," said the weapons officer. "Nothing good comes from that place." Thought about this. The officer was right, but there could be valuable equipment on that ship. There could be research data. The council would want to know what happened. "We will investigate," decided. "Send a team." The cargo bay of the broken ship was dark and cold. The team moved slowly, their lights cutting through the shadows. They found broken containers and scattered equipment. They found dried blood on the walls, but they did not find any bodies. Then they found the pod. It was a stasis pod, still working somehow. Power still flowed through its systems, and inside something large was sleeping. "What is that?" one of the team members whispered. The creature inside was massive, even curled up. Black scales covered its body. It had 6 powerful legs ending in claws that could cut through metal. Its head was shaped like a nightmare, with rows of razor-sharp teeth visible even in sleep. The team leader's skin went pale. "That is a..." Everyone knew about they were the apex predators of 7. They were so dangerous that the Galactic Council classified them as an extinction-level threat. One could kill an entire colony. They hunted by sensing fear. The more afraid you were, the faster they found you. "We need to destroy it," someone said, "right now." "No," the team leader replied, his voice shaking. "We need to report this to the commander. This is beyond our authority." They brought the pod back to the Eternal Dawn. It was the worst decision they could have made. Was working in the engine room when he heard the alarm. He was the only human on the ship, a 32-year-old engineer from Earth. They had hired him because humans were good at fixing things. They were also good at surviving. Humans came from a death world too, though most aliens did not understand what that meant. He walked to the cargo bay where a crowd had gathered. They were standing far back, their skin flickering with fear. They were all looking at something in the center of the room. Pushed through the crowd, he saw the stasis pod and the creature inside. His eyebrows rose slightly. "That's a big one," he said calmly. The ship's lead scientist turned to look at him. She was tall even for a with silver patterns on her glowing skin. She had worked with for 3 months. She thought she understood humans, but the calm in his voice confused her. "You know what this is?" she asked. Said, "I read about them. Apex predator from 7, hunts by sensing fear, extremely dangerous." He tilted his head, studying the sleeping creature. "It looks young, maybe a juvenile." "And you are not afraid?" "Consider the question. Should I be? It's asleep." Did not know how to respond to this. The other were keeping their distance. Some had left the room entirely. But the human just stood there, watching the creature like it was an interesting puzzle. Commander arrived. He looked at the pod, then at his crew, then at the human. "We have contacted the Galactic Council," he announced. "They will send instructions. Until then, this cargo bay is quarantined. No one enters." "Someone should monitor it," said. "The stasis field is unstable. If it fails, you want to know before the creature wakes up." Skin flickered. "You are volunteering." "I'm an engineer. Monitoring equipment is my job." The commander did not argue. If the human wanted to risk his life, that was his choice. Privately hoped the creature would wake up and kill him. It would solve two problems at once. They did not trust humans. They were too strange, too fearless, too much like the monsters they were supposed to fear. Set up his monitoring station inside the cargo bay. He brought a chair, some tools, and a tablet for reading. Then he sat down and waited. Hours passed. The stasis field flickered and hummed. The creature stirred in its sleep, its claws twitching, watched and took notes. He was not worried. He had grown up on Earth where humans had spent thousands of years living alongside predators. They had learned to understand them. They had learned to respect them. Some of them they had even learned to love. Outside the cargo bay, watched through the observation window, she was recording everything for her research. The human sat calmly in his chair, just 10 meters from the most dangerous creature in the galaxy. His heart rate was normal. His breathing was slow and steady. He showed no signs of fear. She spoke into her recorder. Day 1 of observation. The remains in stasis. The human remains in the cargo bay. I do not understand his behavior. All known species flee from them. Even other predators avoid them. But the human sits and watches like he is waiting for a friend. She paused, struggling to find the right words. I am beginning to think, she continued slowly, that we do not understand humans at all. We call them a young species. We think they are primitive because their technology is simple. But there is something in them that our science cannot measure, something that does not make sense. She looked through the window. He had started reading something on his tablet. His feet were up on a nearby container. He looked comfortable. He looked at home. The human is not afraid, concluded, and I do not know if that makes him brave or insane. In the cargo bay, the stasis field flickered again. The creature's eyes opened for just a moment, 2 points of burning orange in the darkness. They focused on the human sitting nearby. Then they closed again. Noticed, he made a note on his tablet, then he went back to reading. He could wait, he was human. Patience was in his blood. The stasis field failed on the 3rd day. Was drinking coffee when it happened. The pod made a loud crackling sound, and then all the lights on it went dark. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the creature inside began to move. The uncurled slowly, its massive body stretching for the first time in what might have been years. It was even bigger than had expected. Standing on all 6 legs, it was almost as tall as him at the shoulder. Its black scales reflected the cargo bay lights like dark mirrors. When it opened its mouth, counted 3 rows of teeth, each one as long as his finger. Outside the cargo bay, alarms started screaming. The stasis has failed. Someone shouted over the intercom. The creature is awake. All personnel evacuate immediately. Heard footsteps running away from the cargo bay. He heard doors slamming shut. He heard the hum of emergency force fields activating. Everyone was running. Everyone was afraid. Stayed in his chair. The turned to look at him. Its orange eyes were bright and intelligent. It studied him the way a cat studies a mouse. Then it opened its jaws and roared. The sound was loud enough to hurt. It echoed through the cargo bay and shook the walls. Felt it in his chest, in his bones. Any other creature in the galaxy would have run. That was designed to make things run. That was how it hunted. It scared its prey into fleeing and then it chased them down. Did not run. He sat very still and took a slow breath. He focused on his heartbeat, making it slow down. He had learned this trick as a child when he used to approach stray dogs in the streets of his. Animals could sense fear. If you were afraid, they became afraid too. And afraid animals were dangerous animals. But if you were calm, sometimes they became calm as well. The stopped roaring. It tilted its head, confused. This small creature was not running. This small creature was not afraid. They had never experienced this before. It did not know what to do. Outside the cargo bay, Commander watched through a security camera. His skin was flickering rapidly with stress. What is he doing? He demanded. Why is he not running? Stood beside him. She was the other human on the ship, who studied alien life forms. She was 28 years old with short black hair and calm eyes. She had known for 5 years. She trusted him. He is making first contact, she said. First contact. His voice was high with disbelief. That creature will kill him. Maybe, agreed. Or maybe not. Humans have been doing this for thousands of years. We call it domestication. Domestication. On our planet, we learned to live with predators. Wolves, big cats, killer birds. We did not destroy them all. We made friends with some of them. Pointed at the screen. Is very good at making friends. Inside the cargo bay still had not moved. There was circling him now, staying about 5 meters away. Its claws clicked on the metal floor. Its tail swung back and forth like a weapon, but it had not attacked. Started talking. His voice was low and calm, barely louder than a whisper. Hello there, he said. You are scared, I understand. You woke up in a strange place. You do not know where you are. You do not know if you are safe. He kept his eyes down, not looking directly at the creature. Direct eye contact was a challenge in most species. But I am not going to hurt you. I am just going to sit here. Is that okay? They made a low rumbling sound. It was not a growl exactly. It sounded more like a question. That is right, continued. I'm just sitting here, nothing scary, nothing dangerous. Just a small, boring creature sitting in a chair. You can relax. Hours passed. Did not move from his chair. He did not eat. He did not drink. He just sat there, breathing slowly, keeping his heart rate steady. Sometimes he talked in that low, calm voice. Sometimes he was silent, but he never showed fear. They grew tired of circling. It lay down on the floor, still watching him. Its orange eyes never blinked, but its body was more relaxed now. Its tail had stopped swinging. By the 6th hour, they had moved closer. It was only 3 meters away now, close enough to kill him in one jump, close enough to tear him apart before anyone could help. Close enough that could see the intelligence in its eyes. You are not just a monster, are you? Said softly. Everyone is afraid of you. Everyone wants to kill you, but you are just an animal trying to survive. You did not ask to be here. You did not ask to be dangerous. They made that rumbling sound again. It was softer this time, almost gentle. I understand, said. I was alone once too. Outside was explaining human behavior to the crew. They had gathered around the security monitors, watching in amazement. None of them could believe what they were seeing. On our world, said, we call this patience. Humans are persistence predators. We do not chase our prey with speed. We follow it for hours, for days, until it is too tired to run. We learn to wait. We learn that time is a weapon. But why would he use this with a predator? Asked. She was taking notes rapidly, her fingers moving across her tablet. Why not just kill it while it slept? Smiled, because killing is easy. Understanding is hard, and has always preferred the hard way. This is insane, said. The Council has ordered us to destroy the creature. We should flood that cargo bay with poison gas and end this. You could try, said calmly, but is in there. Are you willing to kill a human to destroy this creature? Hesitated. Killing a human would cause problems. Earth was a growing power in the galaxy. Their ships were not the best, but their soldiers were terrifying. Humans did not forget when one of their people was killed. They did not forgive. We will wait, decided finally, for now. Inside the cargo bay, night came. The ship's lights dimmed to simulate a sleep cycle. The eyes glowed brighter in the darkness. It had moved even closer now. Only 2 meters separated it from. Was tired. His body ached from sitting still for so long. His stomach was empty. His throat was dry. But he did not move. He could not move. If he showed weakness now, everything would be lost. There was watching him. It saw the tiredness in his eyes. It saw the slowness of his movements. This creature was weak. This creature was prey. But it had not been afraid. Not once. Not for a single moment. They did not understand, but it was curious, and curiosity was the first step toward something else, something that had not happened between and another species in millions of years. Trust. The creature lowered its head and closed its eyes. It was still watching him through slitted lids, still ready to attack if necessary. But it was resting. It was letting down its guard just a little. Smiled. "Good boy," he whispered. "Good boy." On the observation deck recorded everything. Her hands were shaking. She had just witnessed something impossible. The most dangerous creature in the galaxy had just fallen asleep next to a human. "Day 3 of observation," she spoke into her recorder. "The creature has fallen asleep near the human. They are separated by less than 2 meters. The human is still alive. I have no explanation for this. I am not sure explanation is possible. I am watching something new happen, something the galaxy has never seen before." She paused, looking at the screen. "I am watching a human make a friend." 3 weeks had passed since the woke up. In that time, the cargo bay had become second home. He slept there. He ate there. He spent almost every hour of every day in the presence of the most dangerous creature in the galaxy. And somehow he was still alive. Watched through the observation window as walked across the cargo bay. The followed him like a shadow, its massive body moving silently despite its size. When stopped, it stopped. When sat down, it lay down beside him. When reached out his hand, it pushed its head into his palm. Had recorded hundreds of hours of footage. She had written thousands of notes, but she still could not understand what she was seeing. "He has named it," she told Commander during their daily meeting. "He calls it Shadow." Skin flickered with disgust. "He gave a name to that monster." "Yes, and the creature responds to it. When says the name, Shadow looks at him. When calls, Shadow comes." Pulled up a video on her tablet. "Watch this." The video showed standing on one side of the cargo bay. Shadow was on the other side, nearly 30 meters away. Made a clicking sound with his tongue and said, "Shadow, come." The rose and walked toward him. It did not run. It did not attack. It simply walked like a pet coming to its owner. When it reached, it sat down and looked up at him expectantly. Pulled something from his pocket. It was a piece of dried meat from the ship's food supplies. He held it out, and Shadow took it gently from his fingers. Its teeth, which could crush metal, barely touched his skin. "Impossible," whispered. "And yet it is happening," said. "Every day the bond grows stronger. Shadow follows everywhere within the cargo bay. It sleeps next to him. It lets him touch its scales, its teeth, even its eyes. I have never seen anything like this." The Galactic Council had been watching too. Their messages became more frequent and more worried. They did not understand what was happening. They did not like what they did not understand. But the transmission delays from this part of space were long. It would take weeks for any council ship to reach them. And in those weeks, something was growing between the human and the monster. Something that looked a lot like love. Requested an interview with. He agreed, meeting her in the corridor outside the cargo bay. Through the window, they could see Shadow packing back and forth, watching for his return. "How did you do this?" asked. "How did you make it trust you?" Thought about the question. "I did not make it do anything. Trust cannot be forced. It has to be earned." "But how did you earn it? You are small. You are weak. You have no claws, no teeth, no scales. By every measure, you should be prey." "On my planet," said, "we have animals called dogs. Thousands of years ago, they were wolves, wild hunters that lived in packs. They were dangerous. They killed our ancestors. But slowly, over generations, some of them learned to trust us. They became our partners, our friends." He smiled. "We call them man's best friend now." "You think you can do the same with a—" "I think I already have." Shook her head. "The council will never allow it. They see thee as a threat. They want it destroyed." "The council is afraid," said simply. "Fear makes people do stupid things. It makes them destroy what they do not understand." He looked through the window at Shadow. But I am not afraid, and neither is he anymore. That night broke protocol. She entered the cargo bay. Was sitting against the wall, reading on his tablet. Shadow was lying beside him, its massive head resting on his lap. When the door opened, the eyes snapped too. It did not move, but every muscle in its body went tense. "Do not be afraid," said calmly. "Move slowly, keep your breathing steady. He can sense fear." Tried to control her racing heart. She took slow steps into the room. Shadow watched her with burning orange eyes. A low rumble came from its throat. "It is okay," said, placing his hand on Shadow's head. "She is a friend, she will not hurt us." The rumbling stopped. Shadow's muscles relaxed, though it kept watching closely. Sat down on the floor, keeping a safe distance. Her hands were shaking. Her skin was flickering rapidly, but she forced herself to stay. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "Why risk your life for this creature? It could kill you at any moment." Was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft. "I was young, I was alone. My parents died when I was small. I had no family, no home. I lived on the streets of my city, eating garbage, sleeping in abandoned buildings. People were afraid of me. They thought I was dangerous because I was different." He scratched behind Shadow's ear. The creature made a sound that was almost like purring. "One day I found a dog. It was old and sick. Its fur was falling out. Its ribs were showing. Nobody wanted it. People threw rocks at it to make it go away." He paused, remembering. "But I did not throw rocks. I sat down next to it. I shared my food with it. Slowly, over many days, it learned to trust me, and I learned something important." He looked at. "Everything that is alive wants the same things: food, shelter, safety, love. It does not matter if you are human or dog, or we all want to be safe. We all want to be loved." Shadow shifted, pressing closer too. Its tail curled around him protectively. "He was scared and alone," continued. "Just like I was once. He was taken from his home, trapped in a pod, brought to a strange place full of creatures that feared him. Everyone looked at him and saw a monster, but I looked at him and saw myself." Felt something strange in her chest. It took her a moment to recognize it. It was empathy. She was feeling empathy for a. "You love it," she said. It was not a question. "Yes," said, "and he loves me." That night, Commander received a message from the Galactic Council. The words were clear and cold. "The specimen must be terminated. The humans are to be detained for psychological evaluation. A council ship will arrive in 23 days. Take no action until then. Observe and report." Read the message twice. Then he looked at the security feed from the cargo bay. Was asleep now, leaning against Shadow's side. This tail was wrapped around him like a blanket. Its head was raised, watching over him. Protecting him. Had commanded ships for 50 years. He had seen many strange things in the galaxy, but he had never seen anything like this. He had never seen a monster become a guardian. He had never seen a predator become a friend. He did not know what to think anymore. He did not know what to believe. All he knew was that in 23 days he would have to make a choice, and no matter what he chose, nothing would ever be the same. Had watched from a distance for too long. Her scientific mind demanded more. She needed to understand this bond. She needed to see it up close. She needed to feel it. "I want to enter the cargo bay again," she told. "I want to stay longer this time. I want to observe Shadow directly." Looked at her carefully. "Are you sure? Last time you could barely control your fear. If your heart rate spikes, Shadow will sense it. He might see you as a threat." "I am sure," said. Her voice was firm, but her skin was already starting to flicker. "I have to understand this. My whole life I have studied living creatures. I thought I knew how they worked. But this bond between you and Shadow breaks every rule I have ever learned. I have to see it for myself." Nodded slowly. "Okay, but you have to trust me completely. When I tell you to do something, you do it immediately. No questions, no hesitation. Can you do that?" "Yes." "Then come with me." They approached the cargo bay door together. Inside, Shadow was lying in the center of the room. The raised its head when it heard them coming. Its orange eyes focused on the door. "Remember," said quietly, "slow movements, steady breathing, no sudden sounds. If you start to feel afraid, close your eyes and count to 10. Focus on your breathing, not your fear." The door opened. Shadow rose to its feet. Even after weeks of watching through cameras and windows, was not prepared for how big the creature was in person. It was massive. It was terrifying. Every part of it was designed to kill. Walked in first. Shadow's posture immediately relaxed. Its tail began to sway gently. The creature walked toward and pressed its head against his chest, making that deep purring sound. "Good boy," said, scratching behind its ears. "We have a visitor today. You remember, she is a friend. She is going to stay with us for a while." Shadow's eyes moved too. The creature's nostrils flared, testing the air. It could smell something it recognized. Fear stood frozen in the doorway. Her heart was pounding so hard she could feel it in her throat. Her skin was flickering rapidly, bright pulses of light that showed her terror. She could not help it. Every cell in her body was screaming at her to run. Shadow's ears flattened. Its lips pulled back, revealing rows of deadly teeth. A low growl started deep in its chest. Said calmly, "Look at me, not at Shadow, look at me." She forced her eyes to move. She looked at. His face was calm. His posture was relaxed. He was not afraid at all. "Breathe," he said. "In through your nose, out through your mouth, slow and steady. You can do this." Tried to breathe. Her lungs felt tight. Her body felt frozen, but she forced herself to take a breath, then another, then another. Shadow was still growling. It started to move toward. Its claws clicked on the floor. Its eyes burned with hunting instinct. This creature was afraid. Afraid things were prey. Prey must be killed. Made a small sound of terror. She stepped backward, her hands raised in front of her. This was a mistake. She never should have come here. She was going to die. She was going to die. Stepped between them. He moved smoothly, without hurry, placing himself directly in Shadow's path. That was close now, so close that could see the saliva dripping from its fangs, so close that she could feel the heat from its body, so close that she could smell its breath. She recoiled in terror, pressing herself against the wall, but only smiled. He reached out and placed his hand on Shadow's snout. The creature stopped. Its growling faded. Its burning eyes looked at, then back at again. "No," said gently. "She is not prey. She is scared, but she is not prey. She is a friend, our friend." Shadow made a confused sound. The creature did not understand. Its instincts were screaming at it to attack. This other creature was afraid. Afraid meant danger. Danger must be eliminated. But was not afraid, and Shadow trusted. Slowly the sat back on its haunches. Its tail curled around its legs. It was still watching, still alert, but the hunting instinct was fading. Its calm was stronger than fear. Hal whispered. Her voice was shaking, her whole body was shaking. "How is it not killing you?" Turned to look at her. His smile was gentle. His eyes were warm. He looked like someone who had nothing to fear in the entire universe. "He trusts me," said simply. Stared at him. She stared at Shadow. She could not process what she was seeing. This human had just stopped her from attacking with nothing but a touch and a few words. He had stood between a monster and its prey like it was nothing, like it was easy. It was the most terrifying thing had ever witnessed. Not the predator, not the teeth or the claws or the burning eyes. The human who commanded the loyalty of something that could destroy worlds. "Please," she breathed, "I want to leave now." Nodded. He walked with her to the door, keeping himself between her and Shadow. The watched them go but did not follow. It trusted its judgment. If said the flickering creature was a friend, then it was a friend. For now. Outside the cargo bay, collapsed against the wall. Her legs would not support her anymore. Her skin was flickering so fast that it was almost painful. She had never been so afraid in her life. Found her there a few minutes later. The human woman knelt beside her, offering a bottle of water. "First time in the bay?" asked. Nodded weakly. "I thought I was going to die. I thought Shadow was going to kill me, but then stepped in front of me and he just smiled and he said." She trailed off, unable to finish. "He trusts me," said. "Yes, I have heard say that before." "It does not make sense. Nothing about this makes sense. That creature should have killed him weeks ago. It should have killed all of us. But instead it listens to him. It obeys him. It loves him." Looked up at with desperate eyes. "What are you humans? What kind of species does this?" Sat down beside her. "We are Death World survivors. We evolved on a planet that tried to kill us every day. We had to be tough. We had to be smart. We had to learn how to live with things that were bigger and stronger and faster than us." She smiled. "But more than that, we learned to love, not just our own kind, everything. We pack bond with animals, with machines, with ideas. We find family in the strangest places." Pack bond. It is a human thing. When we care about something, we make it part of our pack, our family, and we will do anything to protect our family. Looked at the cargo bay door. Has made Shadow part of his pack. That creature is family now, and will die before he lets anyone hurt his family. Was silent for a long moment. She thought about everything she had seen. The patience, the calm, the courage, the love. "The council will try to kill Shadow," she said quietly. "Yes. Will not let them." "No." Stood up slowly. Her legs were still weak, but her mind was clear now. She had made a decision. "Then I will help him," she said. "Whatever happens, I will help him." Smiled, welcome to the pack. Inside the cargo bay, sat down next to Shadow. The laid its head on his lap, making that soft purring sound. It was content. It was happy. It was home. "Good boy," whispered. "You did good. You did not hurt her. I am proud of you." Shadow's tail swayed gently. They did not know what was coming. They did not know about the council's orders, the ships on their way, the people who wanted Shadow dead. But it did not matter. They had each other. And in the end, that was all that mattered. The council ship arrived 3 days early. Commander was on the bridge when the sensors detected it. His skin flickered with surprise as the massive vessel dropped out of hyperspace. It was a warship, not a science vessel or a diplomatic transport. A warship, armed with weapons that could destroy the Eternal Dawn in seconds. "They are hailing us," the communications officer said. "Put them through." The main screen flickered and a face appeared. It belonged to High Counselor, one of the most powerful beings in the Galactic Council. Her features were sharp and cold. Her luminescent skin barely glowed, showing perfect emotional control. "Commander," she said, "we have reviewed your reports. The situation has been deemed unacceptable." Bowed his head respectfully. "High Counselor, we were not expecting you personally. This matter requires direct oversight. They must be terminated immediately. The humans are to be transferred to our ship for evaluation." His eyes narrowed. "You were ordered to take no action, yet your reports show the human entering the cargo bay repeatedly. You have allowed this bond to develop. Explain yourself." Hesitated. How could he explain what he had witnessed? The patience, the trust, the love. He had watched a monster become something else. He had watched a human do the impossible. "The situation was unprecedented," he said carefully. "The human showed no fear. The creature responded to his approach. I believed observation was more valuable than destruction." "You believed wrong." His voice was ice. "They are extinction-level threats. There is no value in observing one. There is only danger." She paused. "We will dock in 1 hour, have the human and the creature ready for termination." The screen went dark. Stood in silence for a long moment. Around him, his crew watched and waited. They had all seen the footage. They had all watched in shadow together. Some of them had started to believe, like did. Some of them had started to hope. "Sir," his first officer asked quietly, "what are your orders?" Closed his eyes. He thought about duty. He thought about orders. He thought about the creature that should have killed them all but instead lay peacefully beside a human, protecting him like family. "Follow protocol," he said finally. "Prepare for the council's arrival." In the cargo bay was playing with Shadow. He had made a toy from scraps of cloth and metal, and was chasing it around the room like a giant, deadly puppy. Each time Shadow caught the toy, would laugh and throw it again. Each time Shadow brought it back, its tail wagging with joy. The door opened and entered together. Their faces were grim. "They are here," said the council. "They arrived early." "Stop throwing the toy." Shadow noticed his change in mood and immediately became alert. The creature moved to stand beside, its body tense and ready. "How long do we have?" asked. "Less than an hour. They are sending a termination team, armed soldiers." His voice was steady but could see the fear in her eyes. "They are going to kill Shadow, and they are going to take us for psychological evaluation, which probably means we will never be seen again." Was quiet for a moment. He looked at Shadow. The looked back at him with those burning orange eyes. It did not understand the words, but it understood the feeling. It understood that something bad was coming. "I will not let them hurt him," said quietly. "They have soldiers, weapons, a warship. What can you do against that?" "I do not know." He reached out and placed his hand on Shadow's head. The creature made a soft sound and pressed into his touch. "But I have to try. He trusts me. I cannot betray that trust." Stepped forward. "You will not be alone. I have decided to help you, whatever happens." Looked at her in surprise. "This will end your career. The council will punish you. Your people will reject you." "I do not care." Her skin was flickering, but her voice was firm. "For my whole life I have studied the galaxy. I have observed and recorded and analyzed. But I never truly understood anything until I met you, until I saw what you did with Shadow." She stood. "You showed me that there is more to life than following rules. There is love. There is courage. There is doing what is right even when it is hard." Smiled. "Looks like the pack is growing." The termination team arrived exactly on schedule. 12 soldiers in heavy armor, carrying weapons designed to kill creatures like the... They marched through the corridors of the eternal dawn like conquerors, ignoring the watching crew members. High Counselor led them personally. She wanted to see this done. She wanted to make sure there were no mistakes. They reached the cargo bay and found the door sealed. Commander was waiting for them. "Open the door," ordered. Hesitated. "High Counselor, I must advise caution. The humans are inside if we force entry." "I said open the door." Nodded to his security officer. The override codes were entered. The door slid open. Inside the cargo bay stood in the center of the room. Shadow was beside him, massive and terrifying, its scales rippling in the light. Stood on his left, stood on his right. They did not move. Stepped into the doorway. Her soldiers raised their weapons, targeting the one command, and the creature would be dead. "Human," said coldly, "step away from the creature." "No," said. "This is not a request. That has been classified as an extinction-level threat. It must be destroyed. Step away or you will be destroyed with it." Shadow growled. It sensed the hostility, the fear, the anger. It wanted to attack. Every instinct told it to kill these threatening creatures, but its hand was on its head, calm and steady. "Wait," whispered to it, "not yet." He looked at, his eyes were calm, his voice was steady. "This creature has not hurt anyone on this ship. It has been peaceful for weeks. It has shown trust and affection and loyalty. You want to kill it because you are afraid of what it could do, but you have not stopped to consider what it has actually done." "It does not matter what it has done," snapped. "It matters what it is. They are killers. They cannot be trusted. They cannot be tamed." "And yet here we are," gestured at Shadow. "Look at him. He is not attacking you. He is not trying to kill anyone. He is protecting me. He is protecting his family." "Family?" voice dripped with contempt. "You think that creature sees you as family?" "Yes." "You are delusional. They do not feel love. They do not form bonds. They are pure predators." "You are wrong," stepped forward. Her voice was shaking, but she did not stop. "I have studied this bond for weeks. I have observed and recorded and analyzed. The creature shows genuine affection for the human. It protects him. It follows his commands. It trusts him." She raised her tablet. "I have documented everything. The evidence is clear." "Your evidence means nothing. You have been compromised by proximity to the humans. Your judgment cannot be trusted." Turn to her soldiers. "Prepare to fire." "No." Everyone turned. Commander had stepped into the cargo bay. His skin was flickering rapidly, but his voice was steady. "I will not allow this," he said. "These beings are on my ship. They are under my protection." His eyes narrowed. "You are defying the council." "I am doing what is right." Looked at Shadow, at the strange family they had become. "I have watched these past weeks. I have seen things I cannot explain. A monster that became a guardian, a predator that became a friend, a human who showed more courage and compassion than anyone I have ever met." He turned back to, "I will not help you destroy that, whatever the consequences." The cargo bay was silent. Soldiers looked at each other uncertainly. They had never seen anyone defy the council before. His face was cold with fury. "So be it, you will all face judgment." She raised her hand. "Fire." The soldiers hesitated. And in that moment of hesitation, everything changed. The lights went out. Everything plunged into darkness. Emergency alarms screamed through the corridors. Red backup lights flickered on, casting bloody shadows across the cargo bay. "What is happening?" shouted. On the bridge, a young officer had made a choice. He had watched the footage of Shadow. He had seen the love between them. He had decided that some things were worth more than following orders. He had triggered a ship-wide power failure. In the chaos moved. "Follow me," he shouted, "now." He ran toward the back of the cargo bay, where a maintenance hatch led to the lower levels of the ship. Shadow bounded after him, its black scales making it nearly invisible in the darkness, and followed, their hearts pounding. Behind them, soldiers shouted and stumbled in the dark, screamed orders that no one could follow. By the time the backup systems came online, the cargo bay was empty. "Find them," ordered. "All teams find them." Led his strange family through the maintenance tunnels. These narrow passages ran throughout the ship, used by engineers for repairs and inspections. Knew them well. He had spent 3 months learning every corner of the Eternal Dawn. Shadow moved silently behind him, somehow fitting its massive body through spaces that should have been too small. The creature's instincts were sharp now. It could sense the danger. It could smell the fear of the soldiers searching for them. But it stayed calm, following, trusting him completely. "Where are we going?" whispered. "Shuttle Bay," replied. "There is a small transport shuttle. If we can reach it, we can escape." "Escape to where?" "The Council controls most of known space." "Not all of it. There are frontier worlds beyond Council jurisdiction, places where people go to start new lives." Kept moving, his hand trailing along Shadow's flank. "We will find somewhere safe. We have to." Was struggling to keep up. Her body was not built for running through narrow tunnels, but she did not complain. She did not slow down. She had made her choice. They could hear soldiers moving through the ship above them, boots pounding on metal floors, voices shouting commands. The Council was searching deck by deck, room by room. It was only a matter of time before they checked the maintenance tunnels. "We need to move faster," said. Shadow made a low sound. The creature pushed past, taking the lead. It moved through the tunnels with surprising grace, its senses guiding them around patrol routes and through hidden passages. Somehow, they understood what they needed. Somehow, it knew how to help. They reached the shuttle bay in less than 20 minutes. It was a large open space filled with small transport ships and emergency pods. The lights were flickering here too, the power failure still affecting some systems. But there were guards. 4 soldiers stood watch at the main entrance. They had not seen the group yet, hidden in the shadows of the maintenance hatch, but there was no way to reach the shuttle without passing them. "What do we do?" whispered. Looked at Shadow. The creature looked back at him. They had been together for weeks now. They had learned to communicate without words, knew what Shadow could do. Shadow knew what needed. "Stay here," said to the others. "Give me 60 seconds." He stepped out of the shadows and walked toward the guards. "Hey," one of them shouted, "stop right there." Raised his hands. "I surrender. I am the human you are looking for." The guards moved toward him, weapons raised. They were focused entirely on the small human walking toward them. They did not look behind them. They did not see the shadow moving in the darkness. Shadow struck like lightning. The burst from the darkness, knocking 2 guards aside before they could react. It did not kill them. It did not need to kill them, had taught it another way. The creature simply disabled them, striking with the flat of its claws instead of the edges, hitting pressure points that dropped them unconscious. In less than 5 seconds, all 4 guards were down. Ran to the shuttle. It was a small transport ship, meant for short trips between vessels, not comfortable for long journeys but fast and reliable. "Everyone in," he shouted, and ran from the tunnel. Shadow bounded after them, its body flowing into the shuttle with surprising ease, jumped into the pilot's seat and started the engines. Alarms blared. The shuttle bay doors began to close. "Hold on," shouted. He pushed the engines to full power. The shuttle shot forward, racing toward the narrowing gap between the closing doors. Metal scraped against metal as they squeezed through with centimeters to spare. And then they were free. The eternal dawn fell away behind them. The Council warship loomed ahead, massive and threatening, but was already calculating the jump to hyperspace. "They are hailing us," said. "They are ordering us to surrender." "Ignore them. They are powering weapons." "Then we better be fast." His fingers flew across the controls. He had learned to fly on Earth, racing through asteroid fields and between satellites. He was good. He was very good, but the Council ship was faster. It was already moving to intercept them. A beam of energy flashed past the shuttle, missing by meters. Another shot, closer this time. The Council was done with warnings. "Hyperspace coordinates locked," shouted. "Jump now." The universe stretched. The stars became lines. And then the shuttle was gone, vanished into hyperspace, leaving the Council ship behind. In the sudden quiet, let out a breath he did not know he had been holding. His hands were shaking. His heart was pounding. But they were alive. They were free. Collapsed into a seat, her skin flickering wildly. "I cannot believe we made it. I cannot believe we actually made it." Started laughing. It was the kind of laugh that came from relief, from joy, from the sheer impossibility of what they had just done. "We escaped the Council. We escaped a warship." With a Shadow made a sound. It was not a growl or a roar. It was something new, something it had never made before. It sounded almost like laughter. Turned in his seat and looked at his family. The human, the alien scientist, the apex predator that everyone said could not be tamed. They were different species, different sizes, different in every way that mattered. But they were together. "Where are we going?" asked. "Where in the galaxy is safe from the Council?" "There is a planet called 4, said. "It is on the frontier beyond Council control. Colonists and outcasts live there, people who want to be left alone," he smiled. "I think we will fit in." Shadow moved to the front of the shuttle and lay down next to seat. The creature rested its massive head on its paws and closed its eyes. It was tired. They all were. But for the first time in a long time, they were safe. Reached down and scratched behind Shadow's ears. The creature made that purring sound, content and peaceful. "We are a pack now," said quietly, "and packs protect each other." Outside the viewport, the stars streamed by in lines of light. Somewhere behind them, the council was probably mobilizing ships, issuing warrants, making threats. But right now, in this moment, none of that mattered. They had each other. They had hope. They had a future. And for creatures who had been alone and afraid, that was everything. 6 months had passed since the escape from the eternal dawn. 4 was a beautiful world. 2 suns hung in its purple sky, casting long shadows across rolling hills of blue-green grass. Mountains rose in the distance, their peaks wrapped in clouds. Rivers of clear water cut through valleys where strange trees grew, their leaves shimmering like silver coins. It was a frontier world, yes, rough and wild and far from civilization, but it was home now. Had built a small house on the edge of a valley. It was simple but solid, made from local wood and stone. There was a kitchen where cooked meals from alien vegetables she was learning to grow. There was a laboratory where continued her research. There was a porch where sat every evening, watching the sun set. And there was Shadow. That had grown in the past 6 months. It was fully adult now, even larger than before. Its black scales gleamed in the sunlight. Its orange eyes glowed with intelligence and calm. When it walked through the valley, the ground trembled under its weight. The colonists of 4 had been terrified at first. They had heard the stories about They knew what these creatures could do. When first arrived with his monstrous companion, people ran. They hid in their homes. They talked about driving the human and his beast away. But was patient. He had always been patient. He introduced Shadow to the colonists slowly. He let them watch from a distance. He showed them how the creature responded to his voice, how it followed his commands, how it protected him without hurting anyone. Day by day, week by week, the fear began to fade. Now, 6 months later, Shadow was part of the community. The creature roamed freely through the surrounding wilderness, hunting the wild animals that lived there. It always returned at dusk, emerging from the tree line like a ghost, padding silently toward the little house on the hill. Children who had once screamed at the sight of it now waved from their windows. Old farmers who had wanted it dead now nodded in greeting. The monster had become a neighbor. Today was a special day, was finally ready to share her research with the galaxy. She had been working on her paper for months. She had reviewed every recording, every note, every observation from her time on the Eternal Dawn and since. She had analyzed the bond between and Shadow from every possible angle, and now she was ready to publish. The title of the paper was simple, On the Human Capacity for Bonding, a Study in Trust. "Are you sure about this?" asked. They were sitting on the porch together, watching Shadow chase something through the tall grass below. "Once you publish this, the council will know where we are. They will come for us." "Let them come," said. Her voice was calm now. She had changed in the past 6 months. The nervous, flickering scientist was gone. In her place was someone stronger, someone braver, someone who had found a family. "My research is too important to hide. The galaxy needs to see what is possible. They need to understand that everything they believed about humans, about bonding and trust and love was wrong." She activated her tablet and sent the paper. Across the galaxy, scientific journals received it simultaneously. Within hours, it would be the most discussed research in a generation. "It is done," she said. Brought out cups of tea. She had become an expert at brewing drinks from the local plants, creating flavors that were strange but wonderful. The 3 of them sat together on the porch, watching the evening light paint the valley in shades of gold and purple. Shadow returned as the first sun was setting. The massive creature climbed the hill and lay down beside the porch, its head resting near his feet. It made that soft purring sound, content and peaceful. "Do you ever regret it?" asked suddenly, leaving everything behind for him. Looked at Shadow. He thought about his life before, the loneliness and the struggle, the years of searching for something he could not name. He thought about the moment he first saw the creature in the stasis pod, the connection he felt, the certainty that this was important. He reached down and scratched behind Shadow's ears. The creature rumbled with pleasure. Its tail swayed gently, brushing against the porch supports. "He trusted me," said simply. "How could I not do the same?" The second sun set. The sky turned from purple to black and unfamiliar stars appeared above them. Twin moons rose over the mountains, casting silver light across the valley. Somewhere in the distance, a night bird began to sing. Paper spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Scientists debated it, politicians denounced it. The council called it propaganda and lies. But ordinary people, common citizens across hundreds of worlds, read it and wondered. They saw the recordings of and Shadow together. They watched the apex predator curl up beside the human like a faithful dog. They witnessed the love between them, clear and undeniable. And they asked themselves, if this was possible, what else had they been wrong about? 3 years later, the Galactic Council issued a quiet revision. The classification was changed from extinction-level threat to dangerous, conditional domestication possible under human supervision. It was a small change, a bureaucratic footnote that most people would never notice, but for those who understood, it meant everything. It meant that the galaxy was finally admitting what had proven with nothing but patience and love. Monsters could be friends. Enemies could become family. And humans, those strange, stubborn, impossibly loving creatures from a death world called Earth, could do things that nobody else in the universe could explain. On 4, life continued peacefully. His little house on the hill became a landmark. Travelers came from other worlds to see the human and his. Some wanted to study them. Some wanted to learn from them. Some just wanted to see for themselves if the stories were true. They always left amazed. Was older now, his hair touched with gray, but he still sat on the porch every evening, watching the sun set. He still scratched behind Shadow's ears and called the creature good boy. He still believed with all his heart that anything could be redeemed with enough patience and love. Shadow had grown old too, its movements slower, its eyes less bright, but the bond between them was stronger than ever. When one walked, the other followed. When one rested, the other stood guard. They had been together for so long that it was hard to imagine one without the other. One evening, and joined on the porch. They were old friends now, family in every way that mattered. They had built a life together on this frontier world, far from the civilization that had tried to destroy them. "I have been thinking," said, "about my paper, about everything it changed." "What about it?" asked. "I ended it with a question. Do you remember?" Shook his head. Smiled. "I asked, if a species we labeled monster can learn to love, what does that say about us who refuse to try?" The question hung in the air. Below them, Shadow lifted its massive head and looked at them with those ancient orange eyes. It understood somehow. It always understood. Leaned back in her chair. "I think I know the answer now." "What is it?" asked. "It says that we were the real monsters." Looked at Shadow, at the life they had built against all odds, and it took a human to show us how to be something better. Smiled. He looked out at the valley, at the twin moons rising, at the world he had chosen for his strange, wonderful family. He reached down and rested his hand on Shadow's head. The creature made that soft, purring sound, the sound of perfect contentment, of trust, of love. "We are all monsters," said quietly, "and we are all capable of love. The trick is choosing which one to be." The moons rose higher. The stars shone bright. And on the porch of a small house on a frontier world, a human and a sat together, watching the universe turn. They had been called impossible. They had been called dangerous. They had been called many things. But in the end, they were just a man and his friend. And that was the most human thing of all.